Hey, this is Kelli Worley, registered dietitian nutritionist with Nutrition Solutions. Have you ever wondered if you have a food addiction? I have clients tell me all the time that they feel like they have a food addiction. So is it even really a thing? The science behind it is a little tricky because there's not a lot of research, but I do want to share with you what we know so far. First and most important, I want you to understand that food addiction is not a chemical addiction, it's a process addiction. So what that means, it's the act of overeating and the feelings that it provokes. It's the eating the foods that feel forbidden. It's not the food themselves, it's the act of eating those foods and the foods you have around those feelings. It's using the overeating and using these trigger foods as a way to numb negative emotions and try to get a dopamine hit. Other process addictions, to help you understand what I mean by that, is other process addictions are like gaming, being addicted to using your phone, gambling, shopping, those types of things. Those are process addictions where it's the actual act of doing it. So what happens is when you eat a food that's a trigger food, you get a hit of dopamine, and if you're eating that trigger food because you're trying to get rid of negative emotions, you want more and more of that dopamine, so then you eat more and more of that food. Or you just overeat. And when those things happen, you eventually get a tolerance to them, so then you need to do it more and more and more to get the same response. And that creates an addictive cycle. So like any process addiction, the more you do it, it brings the dopamine response down, and you have to do it more to get the same response. Now, compare that to a chemical addiction. So a chemical addiction is like addiction to drug or alcohol. That is when your body is physically addicted to that chemical. So let me help you understand why food is not a chemical addiction. So say you feel like you're addicted to sugar. So you eat chocolate, and let's say chocolate is sugar food for you. You eat the chocolate, it sends a hit of dopamine because it tastes so good, and also you're probably eating it because you're trying to make yourself feel better, right? So then you want more and more and more. So you think, I'm addicted to sugar, the sugar that's in the chocolate, right? Well, let's say orange juice is not a trigger for you. Well, orange juice has sugar in it. Let's say you drink orange juice, you don't want more and more and more. It just feels like a normal neutral food to you. So you're actually not addicted to the sugar, it's the feelings you have around that food. So what does all this mean? It's actually good news, because what that means is you don't have to avoid certain foods, you don't have to restrict certain foods from your diet because you're physically addicted to them. You don't have to abstain from them like an alcoholic would or a drug addict would. So that's a good thing. So what can you do to overcome your food addiction? Or I really just, instead of like calling it food addiction, I'm more like to use the term compulsive eating or compulsive overeating. So there's 3 things you can do. Number 1, start keeping a food journal and write down what you're eating, the emotions around that, and how you're feeling, like your hunger, your fullness. Number 2, identify the emotions that lead up to that compulsive eating or overeating. And this will help you find out what emotions cause you to seek that dopamine hit. And then number 3, this is the hard part though, try to catch yourself before you actually indulge in that food when you're feeling those emotions. Now, I know it's not that easy. I totally know it's not that easy. You need support, you need patience with yourself, you need a lot of introspection and really understanding yourself. And that's what I'm here to help you with. So I don't want food to control you. I want you to control food, and I can help you with that. Check out my Intentional Eating 101 program. You can just go to my website, intentionaleating.net. Check out my Intentional Eating 101 program. You can start right now. Click on the link. You can start to learn how you can control food instead of food controlling you, and have that peace and the health that you've always wanted. See you next time.